I got pregnant on an IUD. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and like and share this video. All right, so my eldest daughter, Safia, is turning 4 in the next few days. Ooh, oh my God, how did this happen? When did this happen? Just speechless. It's just gone by so fast. It's crazy. And it's so sad in some ways because I'm like, that's it. Like, she was already a baby. Like, it's done. Like, she's not going to be a baby again, and it's over. And like, did I do a good job? And is she turning into a happy little individual? Like all these things. In other ways, it's really exciting. It means that she's becoming her own person. Like, she's 4 years old now. Like, when I hear her having a conversation, she has like full-blown like developed ideas and thoughts about things, and knows how to like carry on a conversation, and it's just really mind-blowing, and it's so beautiful to watch, and I'm so excited, and I'm also happy to be done those baby days of my new early motherhood. Yeah, it's all just like every feeling all the time. It just seems to be like parenting 101 is, it's just like always changing, and it's always there's always flow, and it always fluctuates from hard to good to challenging to amazing. So it comes with every single like emotion at the same time, which can drive you crazy in a good way. I don't know about you, or if you do this as well, but I always think a lot about my birth that I had with her and my pregnancy leading up to her birthday. Every year I always think about being pregnant with her. I'm very like nostalgic for my pregnancy and carrying her, and my birth with her, and the early days, and her being a little baby. So it just got me thinking about how I ended up in that situation, basically. And I got pregnant on an IUD, and it was the copper IUD that I had I think for about 2 years, 2 years before getting pregnant on it, and they say that it lasts for 5 years. So I've been on birth control pills before. None of it's ever worked for me, and I find like, I don't know, there was just never one pill where I felt like it just made me feel like a normal human being that was on birth control. It just made me just hormonally off, and I also just don't believe in like doing that anymore, like controlling hormones or like putting hormones into my body. So I just decided that that's not what I wanted to be on, but also, then it's like the balance of like, okay, but I also didn't want to get pregnant. And Matisse and I had been together for I think the 2 years, because I think I got the copper IUD like right after we started dating. Basically, it seemed to be fine. Like, it didn't seem to affect me too much hormonally, although every month I had my period, it was like I could not get out of bed for an entire day, and the whole first day was like so heavy. It was like Quentin Tarantino for an entire day. I should say Quentin Tarantino movie, not like Quentin Tarantino. But it was like so intense, and I knew that definitely came from the IUD. So that was definitely something where I was like, do I want to be on this kind of birth control? I don't know. So it seemed like the best of the worst. So, and I definitely didn't want to be on Mirena or the IUD that gives hormones off. I think it's called Mirena, but I didn't want to put like any synthetic hormones into my body. So I chose the copper IUD, and it seemed to be going fine other than the heavy periods. It's so crazy though, because like I was going through like a really intense time. Like I was wanting to get pregnant so badly, and it was like I personally couldn't fight that like desire. Like I remember just like watching women go down the street pregnant, and I was like, oh my God, you know, like just the belly and everything. Like I was like, oh my God, I just want to be pregnant so badly. But I wasn't even fully sure if I wanted to like have if I wanted to have a baby at that specific time. I just knew that I wanted to start having kids within the next couple of years. Matisse and I were like still really young then. I mean, we still are, but we were super young then. This was for 5 years ago now. So yeah, it was still early, and Matisse and I knew that we wanted to have kids together, but it was still like, you know, there was no like plan. It wasn't like we were like trying to have kids, you know, like I was on an IUD for a reason and totally thought that thing had my back. Yeah, basically, it was so crazy because I can remember being like wanting to be pregnant so badly, and then like, but not actively thinking that we were like trying or that it was going to happen. Like I kind of thought it was maybe in our like 5-year plan or something. The IUD had other plans, I guess. I just like, the universe had other plans. It was, I don't know, she just wanted to come through right then and there. Basically, I can remember it just being so interesting because I was like calling in wanting to be pregnant so badly. And then, but like, I don't know if you could actually like manifest your way through a copper IUD, but I feel like I did in some ways. So basically what happened was I was about a week late on my period, and I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I was 2 weeks late on my period, and I was like, okay, that's weird. But I still had like no belief or like understanding that I could have just been pregnant. Like I really didn't think that was the case, because on the copper IUD it's supposed to be 99.9% effective against pregnancy, I guess. So I just totally didn't think that I was. Like I thought that maybe I was stressed. I remember I was doing a singing show, and I was like, maybe I just like lost my period because I was so nervous about doing this singing gig and singing on stage. And so funny. And yeah, just like really, I just really didn't think that I could be pregnant. And then it was like day 17, still no period. And Matisse and I were like, okay, maybe we should go and get a pregnancy test. Yeah, it was our anniversary, and we had bought the test on like the Friday that was our anniversary, and we were like, okay, we were like, let's go out and enjoy our anniversary, and then tomorrow we'll take the test. So we went out and we had like 24 oysters and like 2 bottles of Prosecco, and we just were at this like fabulous place on the water, and we like had this amazing time and like met these lovely people that were sitting beside us at the bar. We just had such a nice night. And then the next day I was like, hey, I think I need to like take this test because still no period. And I took the test, and I remember being alone in the bathroom, and like right away, it says like within like 5-10 minutes or whatever that the lines show up, but it was like instantly there was 2 lines, and I was like, oh my God. And I went out, and Matisse was sitting outside in the sun. I remember it so well, and I was like, oh my God. And he was like, and I didn't even say anything. I was like, yeah. I was so shocked. And then I took the second test because the box had like 2 tests in it, and then I took the second test. And it was like I was pregnant, and I just like, I was in so much disbelief and so much shock. I just could not even understand how that was the case. And Matisse was like, just like so amazing and so supportive, and he was like, let's do this, let's have this baby, like right off the bat. And I was like, even though for like so long, I'd been wanting a kid since I was like 9 years old, honestly. And I, you know, my whole life of like wanting to have babies and kids, and then like in that moment, like I just was so scared. I was so scared. I didn't know like how we were gonna do it, or what was happening, or how I got pregnant on an IUD. Like how does that happen? I was tripping, like proper tripping. And but yeah, Matisse was like, let's do this, like let's have this baby. And I was like, okay, but like also just feeling like every single feeling. Yeah, I felt like just very scared. And also we also like, I got pregnant on an IUD, so I was like, is it an ectopic pregnancy, which is when you get pregnant on the fallopian tubes and not in the uterus? And because that can happen with IUDs. So I was like, well, I don't know, like I don't really want to start getting excited thinking that I am pregnant if it's just like not a viable pregnancy. I was definitely shook about that. And then I remember getting back into town, calling the doctor and being like, oh, like I need to take a pregnancy test. And they just immediately booked me in with a ultrasound because they wanted to see where the pregnancy was. I went in for my appointment at the ultrasound. They got me in right away. For the initial part of ultrasounds, I don't know why, but they don't let the husband or the partner come in. I don't know why, but that's just one of their rules. So I'm like laying down, and the ultrasound tech was like, had this like very heavy accent, kind of like this weird ultrasound clinic, because they had to get us in super last minute, so it's kind of like in a weird part of town, and I don't know, it was all very like strange, and I felt like I was like in some weird dream. But anyways, so the ultrasound tech is like looking at the screen, and she's like, it's a miracle, it's a miracle. And I'm like, what's a miracle? And she's like, it's in the right place, it's a miracle. And I was just like, oh my God. And I just like literally broke down crying. I was like, oh my God, like what do we do? Like this is crazy. And then Matisse came in, and I was like crying to him, and this woman is like, oh, is this a good surprise? You know, it was just like, once you see that baby's heartbeat on the screen, it's like, makes it really real. Yeah, I was like totally so shook. I was like just nauseous, not even from being pregnant, just from the shock. I couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't even go to work. I remember staying home from work for a couple of days because I just was processing so much. I can remember crying a lot and going back and forth with Matisse, like what were we gonna do? And to be honest, like we were thinking about whether we wanted to keep the pregnancy because it was such a shock. And it feels so weird saying that now because I literally cannot imagine my life any different. But it was like actual real thoughts. Like it was just so unexpected. It totally wasn't part of the plan. Even though Matisse and I knew that we wanted to have kids together, important reason to have kids with someone is like knowing that you're doing it with the right person. So that part I felt was like all good. It was just this immense shock and disbelief that just I couldn't process like what that meant. So then I went back to the doctor after my ultrasound appointment. So the doctor said that it was a viable pregnancy, but she had to remove the IUD, that could disrupt the pregnancy. but we were like not really super attached at that point to how it was going to go either way. Maybe it would have been a decision for us that we weren't willing to make for ourselves, or weren't wanting to make for ourselves. So we were like, yes, it's fine, just take it out. And so she like took it out, and it hurt. Like it was like, grr, like kind of like, whatever that means, but it was like a twing, I want to say. So she took it out, and I was like still fully pregnant after, and everything was totally fine. So yeah, I remember just really poring over this decision, like what were we gonna do? And then we were kind of reached this point where we were like, let's just go with it. Let's just do this. This is obviously a choice that was made for us, and maybe we just need to let go and trust and just know that everything's going to be okay. And that's exactly what we did. And it was such a crazy experience. And I even remember like because I had Safi in the hospital, so like after I gave birth to her, we were in the, I guess, recovery room or whatever it is. And the nurse that we had was, we told her, we were like, yeah, she's an IUD baby, like fully got pregnant with her on an IUD. And the nurse was like, what? Like looking at her being like, how did that happen? And she's like, a miracle baby. And we were like, yeah, it's really rare, really just, yeah, it's not something that happens every day, you know? So yeah, that was basically how I got pregnant that time around. And then after I had Safi out, when we were like looking at different birth control options, I don't know how or why I thought this was a good idea, but I totally went back on the copper IUD again, because out of all of the birth control pills I've been on in my life, it really is just the easiest. I don't have to think about taking it every day. I don't have to like put anything inside of me other than like the one time and then getting it out. But it's not something you really have to think about. It's just in you, it's protecting you, and you're good to go. So I just felt like that was just the easiest thing for me to go back on again, and I did. And then about a year and a half later, so I think I'd been on it for like a good year, I don't think I got it put in the second time until like after about 6 months of after having Safi. So I get it put back in again, and it's the same kind of thing, heavy periods, but everything is like relatively easy as far as contraceptives go. This time around, when I got pregnant, it was a completely different story. So I basically started my period usually it starts on the 28th day, and I bled for like a week straight, and then I kept on bleeding for like 30 days. It was crazy. I just kept on bleeding, and I was like, this is so weird. Like, what is going on? So I went into the same clinic where they had put the IUD in, and the woman that was one of the nurses there was like, I'm kind of curious to take a pregnancy test for you. Again, I'm like hit with like a ton of bricks. I'm thinking, how the hell can I be pregnant again? And so I took a pregnancy test in her office, and it came back positive, and I was like, oh my God. But this time around, she was like, I don't think that you're still pregnant though, because obviously you've been bleeding for like a month. So it kind of seems like maybe you were pregnant and then lost the pregnancy. So this was just like a totally different experience. I had to go in for blood work and get checked, and to make sure that my hormone levels were going down every day. It was, it was emotional, it was sad, but the thing is that I wasn't really as sad about losing the pregnancy, because I didn't even know that I was pregnant in the first place. So I didn't have any kind of like attachment to it. It's always like, I think about that there was like a soul that wanted to come through, and maybe it just wasn't the right time for them. And so you know, it just wasn't meant to be. And the hardest part was going through 30 days of bleeding, because I was like, felt so like iron deficient and just not good. Like, it's not fun bleeding every single day, like having a period that never ends. So that was really the hardest part about it. But the nurse told me, she was like, I don't think that you should be on an IUD. I think you need to find a different form of birth control. And then I haven't been on anything, because I just don't know when that would be better, and I don't want to go in and start like controlling the hormones. And then, but then with this, like last time getting pregnant with the twins, we were trying to not do it on like the fertile days. So we were trying to do it on days where I wasn't fertile, and apparently that doesn't work for me either. So yeah, we're just still trying to figure out what is the best form of birth control for us, and we don't want any more kids. So just yeah, I guess we'll have to look at some other alternative options. So that is my story of getting pregnant on an IUD twice, and honestly, I am so happy that I got pregnant on an IUD, because it has changed my life forever, and I am so grateful for my daughter Safia. She is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So I am really happy that I ended up getting pregnant on an IUD. It definitely changed my life for the better. The universe always has a plan for us, whether we know why. It knows best. All we have to do is just let go and enjoy the ride. Thank you so much for watching this week's video. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and like and share this video. Ciao for now.